Participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
As far back as I could remember, I always knew everyone in our government was a gangster.
I know I'd go from right.
The following program is for mature and logical audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Play YMCA. Go ahead. Let's go. Nice and loud.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Thinking Logically. It's your host, Joseph Anthony Corsine, and we have a full, jam-packed show today. Almost too much going on in the world of news and politics. Let's go over some things for the show today. What else? John Brennan and James Comey, they're now under federal investigation for Russiagate. Am I reading this correctly? That's kind of an interesting situation, especially since James Comey's daughter is still a federal prosecutor, fresh off the Epstein and Diddy cases. Maybe she should take a leave of absence, maybe be furloughed for a few months. I mean, we all know President Trump can't fire her. A district judge would immediately say no to that. What else are we going to talk about? More about that memo from the Hopewell Police Department that they sent out. No, a few audience members have sent me that. What else? Joe Biden's doctor. Remember the one that said he was vigorous for 4 straight years of medical exams? Yeah, he was on Capitol Hill testifying about Joe Biden's mental capacity while president. And audience, by testifying, I mean he pled the fifth over and over and over again. Also, TSA has eliminated the shoes off policy. All this and much, much more today. But first, Ryan, I don't know if you saw it. What the hell was with that 3-minute video of Trump and Pam Bondi explaining the Epstein stuff?
You know what? I was hoping to get some kind of explanation from you. I don't know what that was all about, Joe.
Well, we have, I think it's a 3-minute clip. We're going to break it down into several different parts and go over it in detail. But first, it's all very strange. At the same time, what we're seeing with this, it would make a lot more sense. It might not be the time for the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, like we've been saying on this show. And we say it's because of this fact. Audience, how do you prosecute the people on that list? If there even is a list. Who is the judge going to be? Like we've been saying, who are the prosecutors going to be? Remember, we probably only have one chance to get this done right. Do you want to see it thrown out like we saw some other cases? Do you want to see it like Diddy, where he only gets convicted of 2 charges, and those are transporting a prostitute across state lines? No, we can't have that. And this all makes sense now when you think about it in hindsight. This is why Hunter Biden, Dr. Fauci, Andrew Cuomo, remember the nursing homes in New York City? Adam Schiff, and whoever was using that auto pen, we don't know for sure, but whoever was near that auto pen, they can't be brought to justice yet. We can't risk the wrong judge or the wrong prosecutor or the wrong former FBI director's daughter, like in the James Comey situation, getting in on the case again. Also, we were always told Epstein and Maxwell used the tapes to blackmail high-ranking government officials across the globe. We've heard this. We know this, right? And now the DOJ comes out and says that not only are there's no Epstein list, but Epstein wasn't even blackmailing anyone. Imagine that. Wasn't even blackmailing anyone. My Lord, they have the nerve. Then a day later, what did we see? Bibi Netanyahu, I think, was it a day later? He comes in and says he wants to nominate President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize all of a sudden. Can you make that obvious? Can you think logically and just make that correlation for a second? Keep in mind, Ghislaine Maxwell and her father are well connected to Mossad. And Mossad is Israel. And Mossad is known for blackmail. And on and on and on. Start to make sense? Now, if Trump would to say, let's ruin Israel, aka Mossad's global blackmail operation, by releasing Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, by getting it all out there. What would happen to U.S. and Israeli relations at this critical time we're facing with Iran. You might forget, but a week or two ago, Trump was accused of bringing the world into a nuclear holocaust. Would that happen again? Would that be a news cycle again out of the blue? You see, audience, how this is bigger than you could imagine? I get the outrage about the Epstein stuff. I'm with you on it 100%, believe me. But we have to be patient with this. Because again, we're only going to get one chance. And you do not want to see these people skate on something like a technicality. Or because a FBI director's daughter was on the prosecution. Or we could go on and on. All right, let's get this Trump and Pam Bondi audio from when they were asked about Jeffrey Epstein. Ryan, remember when Pam Bondi brought all the influencers to the White House and they gave them big binders and they called it phase one of the Epstein files?
Yes, sir.
I pray to God that what we saw was not this. What we just saw here was not phase two. Okay, so the first part we're going to play is basically President Trump scolding us on why anyone would still be asking about Jeffrey Epstein. Ryan, play the first audio.
And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape?
Yeah, sure. If
Pam, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Ryan, you'll like this. This is like the Chappelle Show Black Bush sketch when they ask about the oil.
Fine, I'll answer your stupid ass question. I feel like you guys keep trying to distract people when I'm focusing on other things.
It's exactly like it.
Yes.
I feel like maybe Trump is baiting the media I feel like maybe Trump is baiting the media to talk about Epstein. Maybe he wants people to scream for it to be covered. I don't know, but let's finally get to Pam Bondi's answer. We're going to break this down into about, I think, 5 separate clips, and then we'll comment in between. Ryan, play the next clip, please.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein.
All right, ready, audience? Child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. If it only weren't for that Jeffrey. It sounds like a Scooby-Doo script. And wait a minute. What did she say first? That the child porn was downloaded? Downloaded? Okay, fine. On all those downloaded videos, Pam, first off, where were they downloaded from? But also, at the same time, were there anyone other than the children on those tapes? Anyone at all? Was it just children? Was it someone else? Was it Epstein on the tapes? Or was it just Jeffrey Epstein? Was he just some sort of profuse downloader of child porn that just sits naked at his computer all day long? I mean, how many tapes were? They said 10,000 hours. But does this do like remember the Commodore? You ever see Boogie Nights? Please say yes.
I know
the Commodore from Boogie Nights that gets with the kiddie porn and winds up in prison at the end of the movie. They smack him in the face because he's stuck in prison. Was this like the Commodore from Boogie Nights or something? All right, let's get into what's actually maybe on the tapes. Ryan, next audio, please.
Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day.
Nobody wants to see that stuff. Nobody asked to see it. Nobody wants to. We just want to know what is it? Is it just all children? Are there men? Is it Epstein? That's all. Then Pam goes on about whether or not Epstein was a federal agent. Ryan, next audio.
To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that.
Oh, okay. She's going to get back to us on whether or not Jeffrey Epstein was an agent of some three-letter agency or government agency. When can we expect this, Pam? Soon, please? Audience, come on. We know he was providing information to the FBI. We already saw this. It's documented. He was trading information on crime taking place on Wall Street to the FBI. That makes him an FBI informant. Maybe she doesn't know this. I don't know. All right, next audio, please.
And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide.
What? What the hell did she just say? Did she really say the video wasn't conclusive? She actually used the word definitively. Yeah, she did. Then stopped. So she said the video wasn't conclusive, but the evidence prior to the video was conclusive. So the evidence that for six years hasn't been conclusive is now somehow the conclusive evidence we're relying on, not the actual video they just released. Then why did we even need the video that was missing a minute? And why was it missing a minute? Okay, let's move on to why it was missing a minute. Maybe go on, Ryan, next clip.
And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
And that's it on Epstein. Did they just blame it on Y2K, the missing minute on Y2K? Is this it? Are we going to learn that Jeffrey Epstein leads back to Y2K? The missing minute was from 1999 at midnight? There's been a missing minute for years, she said, and people knew, and you still stuck Epstein in that location? It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. Is this, like I said, is Trump making people scream for these, or is it just not the time yet? Because we can all debunk this. And what's strange is, I heard Jake Tapper mention it briefly. No one in the media is screaming for the Epstein tapes or anything else. No one big. I've heard people on this network say it, but maybe they're not getting the 4 a.m. talking points that might be getting the news station saying, don't talk about this, let it go. That seems like they're doing. This should be front and center news. We're talking about children. And Elon Musk said, Stephen Bannon, Donald Trump, they're in the Epstein files. And the media just lets it go.
Which is bizarre for the media.
Well, not really. They've ignored everything. It just exposes them more. I mean, now this, I hear people that, everyday people that didn't care, didn't give 2 licks about Epstein, the list, never thought it was anything. All of a sudden, after Elon says this, like we said, it's all kayfabe, we think. Now they want the Epstein list. Now they think Trump's on these flights. And yes, I believe Trump did fly on Epstein's plane. Maybe it was illegal, but he never went down to the island. They shared a plane from New Jersey to I forget where. This is all documented. None of this changes the fact that Bill Clinton went on Epstein the Express for 26 times that island. And there's some weird pictures of him getting a massage, like half naked. I don't know if standing up in bed. It's kind of creepy. I don't know. Anyway, but you got to wonder, think of everyone involved in this now in the Trump administration. What does this do for Kash Patel, director of the FBI, and deputy director, especially Dan Bongino's careers in a post-Trump presidency here in the United States of America? They can't go back to podcasting if it's like this. We got to be patient with this. Like we said, you only get one chance to get this. We don't want to see the Epstein stuff walk on a technicality like we've seen some people walk. Think of if we would have went after Hunter Biden in 2019. He would have skated. Think about that. Or Joe Biden for when he was on a hot mic in Ukraine. They couldn't go after. They impeached Trump when he tried to go after. And you see it. Open your eyes. Think logically. It's not the time yet. Okay, so another reason I'm being patient, we're 6 months in. And what have we been saying? The first 6 to 8 months, that's the battle. Like the Pacific War. That's when this is going to be fought and won. We're 6 months and we're at the cusp, the pinnacle here. Look how much this administration has accomplished. Look how far we've come. All right, so Epstein, apparently he was just a really big pedophile with tons of tapes, but only children on the tapes. That's the conclusion here for right now. You can choose to believe it. You can choose to not believe it. I don't care. But again, the reason we can't go after this, it's not time. It's not time. All it's going to take a Obama judge, a Biden judge, James Comey's daughter getting on it. Here, I'll give you an example right now. Breaking. Judge Joseph LaPlante blocks Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship despite Supreme Court ruling restricting the ability of judges to block Trump's policies. Yeah, it's getting a little bit scary. I wouldn't say scary because I'm not afraid, but it's getting a little bit outlandish how no Democrats are condemning these rogue judges that are just rewriting law to advance, I don't know if it's their own personal political agenda or if they're being paid to have that personal political agenda. I don't know. The deep state, what's the term? They just keep on dealing from the bottom of the deck, even though everyone already knows they're cheating. And it's just like we're watching them. When is someone going to stand up and say enough is enough and whip their ass? Throw them out of the poker room. All right, we got to take a break. Again, if you want to call in and talk about any of this, you guys know the number, 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. When we return, John Brennan and James Comey, they are under federal investigation. Is it for Russiagate? If so, how did the deep state delete all the Epstein stuff? How would they delete all the Epstein stuff, but somehow the Russiagate stuff was never deleted? Again, Think Logically. We're going to talk about all this and more when we return to Thinking Logically here at 99.3 FM, WBVP.
Hey, you got your bucket list, your grocery list, your list of things to do. You got a list of all your wishes, that's a wish list, dude. You got your Amazon and Santa Claus and Tooth Fairy too. But I know a list that don't exist, and buddy, so do you. It's the Epstein list, it's a mystery list, with the twist, it's a myth of a list that we all dismiss. Be an optimist, not a pessimist. If you wish to persist, it's probably best you forget that list.
It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond.
Here is a question that's very easy to answer. Would you rather be sold something or get professional help and advice that ultimately leads to a strategy that best suits your needs? Tom Young at First Consultants Inc. in Beaver has a unique approach that has won over the trust of even the most skeptical clients.
Everybody that's selling is looking for a profit. I focus on creating strategies that are in the client's best interest.
Ask yourself this: what have you got to lose? The answer might be a fortune. Get financial strategies instead of a pitch about a product. Visit firstconsultantsinc.com or be a part of Tom Young's live simulcast presentation on the third Tuesday of each month beginning at 9:10 a.m. on Beaver County Radio and Facebook Live. All advisory services are offered through PL Wealth LLC. PL Wealth is a federally registered investment advisor. PL Wealth is in no way affiliated with First Consultants Inc., nor is First Consultants Inc. a registered investment advisor.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP, brought to you by His Place. His Place at 908 Market Street in Bridgewater, where community, wellness, and purpose come together. So built in 1907 and formerly a church, His Place is now a beautifully restored veteran-led venue. His Place is more than just a building. It's a movement for healing, hope, and health. Looking for the ideal place to host your next event? His Place at 908 Market Street in Bridgewater has everything you need for hosting corporate events, weddings, showers, birthdays, you name it. So call 878-201-3090. That's 878-201-3090 and book your date today. That's His Place at 908 Market Street in Bridgewater. You'll love it. All right, we're going to talk about these new investigations focused on John Brennan and James Comey. But before we start, again, audience, are we supposed to ignore that the DOJ has James Comey under criminal investigation now, while at the same time his daughter Maureen Comey is working for the DOJ? I mean, we just talked about this last show with Diddy. She may be the reason Diddy got off. And again, that's not a pun. That's not a pun, baby oil pun. She literally might be the reason he only got convicted guilty on 205 charges. All right, so let's dive into this. The FBI launches a criminal investigation into John Brennan and James Comey. This is coming from DOJ sources. So former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI, who I want to say, I think John Brennan is a Muslim. Not that religion should matter, but throwing that out there. Former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director, and I say that, Ryan, because you're big on this with the part of the Islam thing is to lay low and assimilate, and that's what John Brennan did maybe until he became director of the CIA. Anyway, we're getting so off track here. Former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey are under criminal investigation for potential wrongdoing related to the Trump-Russia probe, including allegedly making false statements to Congress, the Justice Department, and others. Sources told Fox News Digital. And I remember John Brennan testifying to Congress for 5 minutes, and by the end, his hands were visibly shaking. CIA Director John Ratcliffe referred evidence of wrongdoing by Brennan to the FBI Director Kash Patel for potential prosecution. The sources said that the referral was received and told Fox News Digital that the criminal investigation into Brennan was opened and is underway. DOJ sources declined to provide further details. It is unclear at this point if the investigation spans beyond his alleged false statements to Congress. That's for Brennan. As for Comey, DOJ sources told Fox News Digital that an investigation into the former director is underway but cannot share details of what specifically is being probed. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And this is from, is this from the New York Times? Let me double check because I want to give them credit. I think it is from the New York Times. The day after former FBI Director James Comey posted a photo of seashells arranged in 8647, the Secret Service had him physically surveilled and tracked his location through his phone. Too bad they weren't doing it the day before because, like we said, that would have been, you would have been able to catch him in a lie. Did you make the 8647 and take a picture of it, or did someone else? That would have been able to catch him in a lie, which the Secret Service, the FBI, they're notorious for getting you caught up in small little lies like that and then prosecuting you. All right, Mark Elias. Ryan, do you know who Mark Elias is? Probably should. You probably should. Some of our callers, listeners may. So Mark Elias, he's the elections attorney for the Democrat Party. He went on MSNBC to talk about these investigations into Comey and Brennan. Audience, listen to this one. It's about 40 seconds. Go ahead.
In the corner, I'm not retreating. I'm saying I'm going to stand up and fight, and Donald Trump won't intimidate me by going back to this 2016 stuff. And that's one thing. But the other thing we've talked about is, what do large institutions do? What do civil society groups do? What does the media do? And I am imploring, honestly, I'm just imploring the media, do not report this as a legitimate investigation. Do not report this as they're opening a investigation into John Brennan. We will see where it goes. Report this as the misuse, the abuse, the authoritarian takeover of the Department of Justice. That should be the headline. The headline should be, in a misuse and abuse of the power of the executive branch, Donald Trump has asked his Department of Justice to open a bogus investigation.
Listen to this idiot. Yeah, don't report. Yeah, media, don't report that. Report the Russiagate stuff again. That was completely false. Report the PP hoax tape stuff. That was completely false. Report all the stuff you were wrong about. Tell us again how the vaccine is 100% effective. Please report on stuff like that. Again, audience, I'll just read his exact quote. This is Mark Elias. He said on live television again, because this needs to be reinforced because of the point I'm going to make after. Quote, I am imploring, honestly, I'm just imploring the media, do not report this as a legitimate investigation. And he's talking about the investigation into John Brennan and James Comey. Do not report this as they are opening an investigation. Report this as misuse, the abuse, the authoritarian takeover of the DOJ. That should be the headline. And I got a message. Wrong, Mark. Wrong. That's what President Joe Biden, or should I say his AutoPen did. He had his DOJ raid Mar-a-Lago, and for what? For nothing? We don't know. We could go on and on about all the stuff the Biden DOJ went after a former president for. And how'd that work out? Who's in the White House now? Now, again, audience, do you really know who Mark Elias is? What he's been a part of the last 8 years? You might forget this, but he was also the attorney with Perkins Coie who helped Hillary Clinton fund the Steele dossier. Remember the Steele dossier? The PP tape, Christopher Steele, all that? Remember that? I know John Brennan does because he testified on it. And that's why he's being investigated now. Sorry we couldn't do this in 2017. Why do you think we couldn't? Why? Because what would have happened? They would have skated. They would have skated with an Obama judge. Could Trump get any judges pushed through? No. Look at what happened with Kavanaugh. They went after him with no evidence. Accused him of raping people. Now, some people, even in conservative media, will just say this investigation is only to divert attention from fubbling the Epstein stuff. I don't think that's correct. Again, I think this stuff, Russiagate, COVID, the 2020 election, January 6th, the auto pen, all that has to come out and be litigated before Jeffrey Epstein. Is it making sense to you? I mean, am I just yelling at clouds here? I feel like it's a really good point. Why other people can't see it, I don't understand. All right. Speaking of the auto pen, let's go. What a great transition. Biden's White House doctor was on Capitol Hill yesterday and pled the Fifth Amendment. Also from the Chappelle Show. Should have had that clip queued up. He refused to testify at a closed-door House hearing on Biden's mental health. This is coming from Politico. Kevin O'Connor, Joe Biden's White House physician, pled the Fifth to all questions except his name. Here's a question he should have been asked if it wasn't asked already, and I think it might have been. Sir, has anyone ever told you to suppress any cognitive deficiencies of the president? Has that ever happened? Now, if they ask that, that's not violating any doctor-patient confidentiality. Now, let's continue on with what happened. When Joe Biden's doctor was asked under oath whether he had ever been instructed to lie about Joe Biden's health, what did he do? He pleaded the Fifth. When questioned under oath about whether he believed Joe Biden was fit to serve, he pled the Fifth. Dr. O'Connell invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination because this is according to him, and our media talking heads too are saying it. They're repeating the same message, hand in glove. Providing testimony regarding a patient would be a violation of federal laws protecting doctor-patient confidentiality, thereby potentially exposing Dr. O'Connor to criminal liability. And maybe that's what they're going to go with, I guess. Keep in mind, Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, they weren't allowed to use executive privilege as an excuse not to testify, and they went to jail for 4 months, 120 days, some more, some a little less. But this is serious stuff. Think about this. This isn't, hey, did he have prostate cancer? We don't know who was running the country. I mean, I'm not sure if HIPAA should apply the same way it does for me and you and as it does in this situation. Remember, Joe Biden's doctor, and Ryan, tell me if you remember this one, certified annually that President Joe Biden had no cognitive deficiency. As a matter of fact, he was vigorous. 4 years in a row,
I recall hearing
Joe
that, yeah.
Biden was vigorous, and he was as sharp as a tack. Karine Jean-Pierre even agreed with the doctor. Or maybe it was Jen Psaki. She has trouble keeping up with President Joe Biden. This doctor, he refused to answer the question if Biden was able to hold the position of president. The fact that he took the Fifth, I mean, think about this.
Right.
Think about this. Could he have just declared the information privileged and protected? I'm sorry, that's privileged and protected information. Instead of basically saying, I won't tell you anything because it might incriminate me. And for some reason, people keep on bringing up the fact that Donald Trump, he pled the Fifth, like, what was it, 200, 300, 400 times? Okay. Let's entertain what we all know as fact here for 1 second. Audience question. How is President Biden's doctor pleading the Fifth after all he said, all this football spiking from the media that he was fit? Now all of a sudden he doesn't want to. How is it the same as President Trump not answering questions about the value of his property when it all turned up bogus? Now, what happens if it's eventually proven? Because again, we're 6 months in. We're only 6 months in. If it's proven that Joe Biden was not fit to be president of the United States, what happens to all the executive orders and everything? Did he sign it? Yes? No? We don't know. There's no way to prove it then. Did he even know what was going on? His entire presidency for 4 years. Did he know? Because we saw him during the campaign, or lack of him during the campaign. He had the advantage of campaigning during COVID, where he was able to stay in a basement and just record interviews with a teleprompter right in his face. All 4 years might have to be thrown out. If there was no real President Biden, just an auto pen, the entire 4 years, what do they use in null and void?
Yeah.
I mean, how can you argue it any other way? I don't think you can. I'm sorry, I don't think you can. Again, if you want to call in, I would love for someone to call in and please try to compare this with Trump or argue. We don't know who was running the country. And what was Trump? See if you get it. What was Trump under investigation for 2017 to 2019? The Russiagate stuff. That's coming up.
Yeah.
And then what happened? They were accusing him of not being in control.
Yeah.
Vladimir Putin of being in control. Here it's right in your face. They're telling us Joe Biden, while he was president, he was not in control. In fact, we don't know who was in control. Was it Joe Biden? Well, no, we know it wasn't. Was it Obama? Was it his press secretary? Was it Jill? Was it Hunter? Remember the crack pipes that we were subsidized for some reason? If we have a caller, send him over. Don.
I'll give you a hint of who. I don't have the slightest idea who was running the country. But you know, when you're at the racetrack, if you're a $2 better, you just guess. I'll give you a hint who I think might have been running America. Two trailer park girls go roundy outside, roundy outside, roundy outside.
Marshall Mathers? Eminem?
Yes. Send those ICE agents, or Barney Fife. Send Barney Fife to arrest them. And let's see if he pleads the fifth. I think they're all going to have to plead the fifth, right?
Yeah, but they are. Do you find it hilarious that all spring we heard nothing but Trump pled the fifth, fourth, and now the media is just Jake Tapper, Don, for instance, wrote a book. He is selectively ignoring this amazing stuff that could go very well with this book. Do you think Jake Tapper showed up to that hearing on Capitol Hill or tried to get any information out of the hearing? He ignored it. He ignored it and he focused on Epstein. He was the only one in the media because he couldn't.
You know, when this nonsense started, I told people that, and no, I do not know who they are, and I have a feeling if I did know who they were or are, I would disappear tonight. I told people they released a virus. They campaigned from their basement, like you said. They sent out 80 million ballots. I assume they rigged the darn election. I mean, I don't know. Is anyone angry about this?
Do you see what I'm saying, though? If Trump would have tried to do anything in 2019 when they tried to rig the election with COVID, they wouldn't even need to use the courts. They would have been able to use the hearts and minds because they would have accused him of killing people. Remember whenever he didn't want people to stay 15 feet apart at the polling locations so they could actually watch what was going on at the polling locations? No. They said that couldn't happen.
As far as I'm concerned, any young couple that had a baby during that time should be arrested for being closer than 15 feet apart, right?
Well, I would agree with you, but remember Dr. Fauci, they asked him, should people go on dates and have intercourse? And he said, I can't control people doing their personal lives. And I'm just sitting there going, well, what are you talking about Christmas for? Remember they said Dr. Rachel Levine, your girl, she said we could riot for George Floyd in Pennsylvania. And Tom Wolf and her, they went and held hands.
A special waiver to riot during the pandemic.
And I'm glad you used the word riot, not protest. Thank you.
I came up with another right-wing woman that's a lot better looking than Dr. Rachel Levine. That girl that old girl that hangs out with Jimmy Fayla Kennedy.
Oh yeah, she used to be on MTV, I think. She used to be a VJ.
She was one of the VJs. Hey, how many of your golfing buddies, if they put on a skirt and don't even shave their legs, are better looking than Dr. Rachel Levine?
that would make them the same as Dr. Rachel Levine. They'd just be. I mean, hey, talk about an easy Halloween costume.
Oh dear Lord, Dr. Rachel Levine, are you going to do it this year at Halloween?
I should do it. I could. Oh man.
You know, I don't remember how old I was, but it could have been as young as 9 or 10. And, you know, remember when families had big families and You know, they always say, like, the kids were better back then. That's because your mom was at home while your dad was at work.
You mean to tell me at a time before I was born, a guy used to work 40 hours, maybe 50, 60 hours a week while the wife stayed at home, raised the kids, and he was able to support were they able to go on any vacations or send the kids to college that way?
Oh,
With
they
just
went
one
to
income?
vacations, and you could walk into a bar. Whenever I got old enough to pretend I was 21, I could go into a bar and get a 40-cent frosted mug of beer. Okay, and that would bring us to Woodrow Wilson and the Federal Reserve System, wouldn't it? What they've been doing to us.
Oh, we're getting into it deep. We're getting into it deep.
Let me finish real quick. My dad told me that when he went to Geneva College, and my brother and I were born when he was in his early 40s, that he lent someone $5, and the guy cussed him out when he told him to give it back, and he said the guy was bigger than me, but I never really forgave him for that. Well, he went to church every Sunday, so he should have figured out a way to do it. So my son is on the phone with me. He's on the computer while he's on the phone, and he said, Dad, in 1936, a $5 bill was $115. Does that sound about right?
It sounds about right. And I'll blow your mind with this one. So let's say we were able to get into a time machine and travel back to 1900, and you get a kilogram of gold, okay? And whatever I think the kilogram of gold is worth about the same as a Model T car. I can't remember, maybe about $8,000, a little bit less probably, a kilogram of gold. Bury that kilogram of gold in the ground and then dig it up 100 years later. It'll still buy you a brand new car. The only problem is cars cost $70,000, and that's what a kilogram of gold costs. But do you see? It's not our money is losing value. The value of gold didn't go up. The value of the dollar went down. Same thing with cryptocurrency, everything. When you see Bitcoin go up to 109,000, they're not really worth $109,000 a coin. It's just that the dollar is so worth. Why do you think we can't make pennies anymore? How sad is it that we stop making pennies because our currency is so worthless that we can't even afford to make the penny? That's a red flag right there if it ain't for something, right?
I got a good one about fiat currency. I believe it was the Cheyenne Indians that people called the beautiful people, until after a while we were stepping on them so hard that they became a little less beautiful. Well, some of them raided a stagecoach.
He sounded like Donald Trump when he said that. I got to give Don credit.
They got lucky. They got mules. They got either silver or gold. They got all kinds of stuff. And they described to the guy at the trading post the funny paper that they left behind that had pictures on it or whatever. And the guy said that was paper currency. And the Indian said, we thought it was worthless. Well, guess what? They were right, weren't they?
Yeah, and now you don't even need to print it or waste any ink. You just click a button and it's there magically, digitally. Like
just liquidity, right? They just hit a button and all of a sudden we've got liquidity, which means if you have $48.60 in your pocket, that little maneuver on a computer just took a little of your liquidity away, didn't it?
That's right. One more question, then I'll let you go, Don. Jerome Powell, why did he lower interest rates before the election whenever inflation was going up, but now won't lower it 7 months into Trump's administration when it's going down every month?
Because
these are hard questions.
He is one of them. One of my liberal friends always goes, you don't know who they are. He's one of them, though, isn't he?
Yes, he is. So we just don't know how far the totem pole he is.
Yes, sir. Take care.
You too, sir.
Thanks, Don.
All right. This just came across the thing here. So 6 agents from the Secret Service tied to the Butler PA incident, I guess they're being suspended. And wow, it only took 51 weeks to get through that. Maybe we'll cover that at the end of the show. When we return, we're going to talk about what the hell is going on in Hopewell with the police. Stay tuned. You're listening to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP.
It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today.
Growth starts with community. And Clearview Federal Credit Union is thrilled to continue growing with you. We're now proud to serve Beaver County with 5 convenient financial centers throughout the area. Clearview is here to help you build a stronger financial future with personalized solutions and a passion for supporting our communities every step of the way. Learn more about how you can support your goals at clearviewfcu.org/new-view. Clearview, clearly different.
Tune in to the Beaver County Radio Morning Show with Frank Sparks and Scott Tatey. Weekdays from 6 to 10 a.m. The show is presented by Patriot Home Care. Frank and Scott will get you caught up on what's going on in the world with news, sports, and entertainment, along with playing some of your favorite tunes, including Pittsburgh area bands. They'll also have monthly guests and weekly features like Backyard Beaver County, notes on entertainment. So make plans every weekday morning to jump out of bed, put on a fresh pot of coffee, and tune in to the Beaver County Morning Show with Frank Sparks and Scott Tatey here on Beaver County Radio.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Oh, Don, you're a little controversial. You're talking about illegal immigration. I said it's illegal.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP. We're going to get into some illegal immigration in a second. First, let me talk to you about a sponsor of ours, So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing. Remember, whether you need your house washed, driveway cleaned, patio done, fences, gutters, you name it, call Dave from So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing at 724-252-4489. That's 724-252-4489. They're fully insured, and they offer free estimates. So what are you waiting for? Don't be the outcast in your neighborhood with a dirty house or deck. Call Dave from So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing today. So Ryan, I don't know if you saw this Hopewell story. I think they covered it in the morning on this station too.
I did. It was a bit curious right off the top. I said, like everybody else, a lot of people questioned, is this real? And then I went to Chat GPS and it said this is 100% valid as far as we know. The news is covering it. Every source.
No, it's real.
Yeah,
it's real.
So what is going on, Joe?
So listen, actually, a couple listeners sent me this. So it says, I'll read the memo. It's from July 8th. Dear Sir, Ma'am, there have been 3 separate incidents reported regarding suspicious activities involving males that appear to be, were reported as, of Middle Eastern or Hispanic ethnicity. These incidents have been reported to the police in Beaver County area in the last 8 days. One incident occurred in New Bethlehem Church in Independence, one at Genesis Church in Hopewell, and one at Ridge Point Church in Brighton Township. At Ridge Point in Brighton, a Middle Eastern male claiming he was from Israel and looking for a new mosque left an electric bicycle battery in one of the pews and left by electric bicycle. In Independence at New Bethlehem, 4 males in hijabs, it's hijabs, right? Hijabs, were observed in a silver sedan driving by slowly with their phones up, possibly taking pictures. In Hopewell, at Genesis Church, a Middle Eastern Hispanic male was caught off guard in the parking lot by a member leaving service early. He sat in his car for 5 minutes, then left the area in a blue-gray Subaru Legacy with an Ohio registration. There has apparently been similar activity near the airbase at the Pittsburgh airport. Please be observant of your surroundings. We strongly advise you to call 911 and report anything suspicious, especially anything similar to these events. Hopewell Township Police will be conducting extra patrols at churches of Hopewell Township. So let's just backtrack here. An illegal alien did just kill 2 people in Beaver Falls, right or wrong? Correct?
That's true.
Correct.
Yes.
Now, they were drunk, I guess, so it's not that big of a deal that no one should care anymore because they were drunk, and that apparently just happens with drunk people. Now, we have people acting suspicious in a church, a location where this country has had shootings done by foreigners before. And we're supposed to just ignore this.
Just real quick, people may be wondering now, were these all from just this past weekend? Do we know?
It said over the last 8 days.
Okay.
Okay. And like, people are getting mad at the police, I think. People are coming out for how they're describing the people.
Correct.
They're getting mad at the Hopewell police. Hold on, let me check my notes here. For doing their job by informing the public of a possible threat. I mean, they even there's nothing illegal about recording a church. But there's also nothing illegal about reporting it to the police and saying, hey, can you watch out for this? I'm kind of, you might be a Karen, but would you rather be a Karen or dead, I guess?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
and if something happens, they would say, well, why don't the police do anything?
Well, I guess they were getting a lot of flack for how they describe the people. So they put out another, it's almost like a sitcom. They put out another statement, and I respect them for this statement. I love this statement. So they write, in order to keep the public informed of recent suspicious activity, I, as the chief of Hopewell Police Department, sent a letter out to our local churches and other public locations to make them aware of unusual incidents occurring at local churches in and around our area. Due to the number of similar complaints with a short time frame and radius of occurrences, it was vital to disseminate this information quickly. The descriptive language in my letter was exactly what was reported to our department by witnesses and other departments in and around our area. It's not like they're just making it up. I think it's a brown guy with Hispanic or maybe a Mexican. It goes on. Law enforcement requires that individuals engage in unusual or suspicious behavior be identified through descriptive criteria. Doesn't that make sense that we do it that way?
Yeah, you're describing what somebody saw when they reported.
Including conduct, gender, age, race, ethnicity, vehicle description, clothing description, actions, and behavior of actors, as well as any other information. Any claims that using these criteria is racist or constitutes police profiling is not only wrong, but fails to recognize the simple fact that it is impossible to identify anyone other than using this. It is. How the hell would you identify you?
Am I looking for a 6'10" Asian man? Am I looking for, you know what I mean? To describe somebody is to tell you what these people.
I'm not going to lie. I would have a hard time off the top of my head describing you without saying you had a beard.
Right.
And a hat. I see you twice a week.
Me being offended saying, why are you describing me with a beard and a hat?
How dare you call out my beard?
Right.
I mean, it's not like I'm calling you Grizzly Adams, which actually he had a decent beard.
Right.
You call him Cornelius. Those are more comments. I'll think of one eventually. Anyway, he goes on. We are working closely with our federal, state, county, and local law enforcement partners to be vigilant, investigate all suspicious activity that is reported to us. We are asking that if anyone observes anything they feel is suspicious in nature, to call 911 immediately. That's it. I mean, the fact that they even had to go out and explain themselves. Who was complaining? I love to see the people that were complaining. We need to stop catering to these Democrat word name games, whatever you want to call them. You describe the person as you see them, whether they're white, black, tan, like we said, have a beard. No one is seeing brown people and just going, that's an illegal migrant.
Right.
Again, just reporting suspicious activity to the police, and the police put on a memo describing the people. And it's not just churches in Hopewell. Another listener, I think, sent me this story. I eliminated all the names. So they said this. About 2 to 3 months ago, this clearly foreign Hispanic guy sat down next to me and my daughter at St. Titus. This guy was taking videos and pictures during Mass. He smelled like cheap cologne. Now, maybe cheap cologne could be alcohol, but we'll just go with cheap cologne from now. He didn't speak English. He was there with another woman who sat in a different part of the church. He had a fitted hat on and never took it off while in church. Anyway, through some digging with some people, I learned this gentleman lives on Franklin Avenue and is an illegal alien. Again, I don't know how they came to that conclusion. But if this person is an illegal alien, we're talking about illegal, not here like working for a law and service legally, why are they not picked up and immediately deported? I mean, really? We're going to do this? Aliquippa. Let's be real here. Known for drugs. Now, the border. Where does the fentanyl come through? The border. So if we had an illegal migrant living in Franklin Avenue, would I be racist to automatically correlate that he might be in on some kind of fentanyl or drug, anything at all? Does it make me? No, I'm just.
Make you racist? No, I don't.
No. But I'm just. We're not. This is the point we're getting. We're not even allowed to ask questions. We're not even allowed to. We can't describe people. We can't. We just have. These people aren't even freaking American.
Right.
And they come here with more rights than us.
Right.
If you saw someone a white guy beat up a guy and then run away to church or do anything, you report it. If you saw a guy that looked sketchy, maybe was a Jeffrey Epstein type in a church, would you report him? If you, anything, you would report it and you would describe the person as you saw him. Wouldn't matter if they're black, white, Asian, red, green, blue. I don't get it, Ryan. Anything else before we move on to the MS-13 Kingpin?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right, so apparently it's from Fox. This happened just before I came on again. MS-13 Kingpin wanted for 5 murders in El Salvador And I think the FBI most onto this, he was arrested by ICE. Ryan, guess where they found him hiding?
I don't know where.
Nebraska. That's literally the dead center. That's the dead center of America.
Yes.
He can't get any further from, well, I guess he can get further from the southern border, but you can't get further from any other border than Nebraska.
Yeah.
Let me guess. This man was kidnapped by masked armed men. This Nebraska man was kidnapped by masked armed men. Did you see that? They're mad that ICE is. We just covered this last episode.
Just kind of going back real quick. Why do the people that are here doing the right things have to walk on eggshells with this situation? As you said, these people are illegal, undocumented aliens. That's against the law. In case you don't know what illegal means, why does the people that are enforcing the law have to walk on eggshells? These people are illegal.
Yes,
off the top.
They're here very illegally. They should not be here. And some of them are wanted for 5 murders. And the people the liberals are worried that they're wearing masks when they arrest them.
Yeah. Well, maybe because the liberals are running around like maniacs, posting their pictures all over places, telling you to go after these people. We just see this happening, Joe.
Yes, they were just shooting people. No wonder, because maybe they want their families at risk too.
Exactly.
Now, listen to this logic. Democrats want ICE agents to show their face and maybe present ID to make sure they're actually federal agents. Show your federal ID. But they don't want voter ID.
Come on.
They want these illegals to go vote. You can't square this circle. I don't know. Is there actually, think about it, is there one single instance of someone dressing up like ICE detaining? Is that going to be the next false flag? Someone dressing up like an ICE agent and doing like a Valentine's Day massacre like in Chicago and shooting a bunch of illegals? Blaming it on Trump?
I could see it.
If it happens, remember, question everything about it. All right, we got to take one more break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Barstool Sports. There's a new National Treasure movie coming out. And also, TSA is finally ending the shoe requirement at airport security screening. Stay tuned. Listen to Thinking Logically on 99.3 FM, WBVP.
Tune in to Beaver County Radio 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP every Monday and Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. for Thinking Logically with Joe Corsai. It is an all-new show that takes a look at the conservative side of politics. Thinking Logically is also presented on the WBVP-WNBA Facebook page and YouTube channel. That's Thinking Logically with Joe Corsai each and every Monday and Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on Beaver County Radio.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WNBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WNBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WNBA.
Just to confirm, we are on 3 to 4 p.m. Mondays and Thursdays, unlike the spot said 5 to 6. We will not be coming back here in another hour for another show. I mean, if my wife let me and Ryan, you wanted to come, I would. I would entertain the idea. But unfortunately, we are 3 to 4 p.m. Mondays and Thursdays now. So sink that in your head. Okay, from Barstool Sports, at long last, a third National Treasure movie is reportedly in the works at Disney. Ryan, you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe what he's searching for this time. The Epstein list.
What?
No, I'm kidding. What if he did and he found out that his father, John Voight's, actually on it or something? There's so much things we could do with a National Treasure Epstein version. Why can't they? Should not write movie instead of just recycling the same garbage over and over again, like Iron Man and all these? Give me a chance to write a movie. All right, and now the big news of the day, and I've been waiting for this, Ryan, for a decade. I'm very passionate about this. TSA is ending the requirement to remove shoes during airport security screening. And I just want to remind our audience, remember, if Kamala won, we'd have to take off our underwear too. Socks and underwear.
Quick trivia question, John. I don't mean to cut you off, but this just popped into me as you said that. What was that gentleman's name?
Richard Reed.
You know
Richard Reed flew from Paris to, get this. He flew from Paris to, I think, New York City. I can't remember if they were actually working bombs in his shoe. But then we banned shoes. I think it was not long after 9/11.
Yeah.
Because we already had the airport security stuff going on. Then we banned, we started doing the take your shoes off. But Europe never did that. Europe never had to take their shoes off, even though he flew in from Europe. And even though Europe never enacted something like that, no one ever tried it again.
Wow.
So think about how stupid that was.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yes.
The shoe bomber, Richard Reed.
You try to get me, and I go, that's actually why I'm on the show with this. Because we talked about 9/11, and that totally ruined flying for everyone. And this too, the taking the shoes off. It's ruined flying. I hate flying. I hate the authoritarianism of it. I feel like I'm not a citizen. I feel like they don't treat me like a human. And I see a lot in common with 9/11, and stick with me here, audience, and Ryan, COVID. Does anyone listen remember flying before 9/11? So I looked up some of these things. For one, you didn't have to get to the airport two hours before your flight, unlike today where you got to go there and wait like cattle. Also, like you just said, because of one individual trying to sneak bombs through his shoes, everyone, unless of course you paid extra, you had to take your shoes off to pass through airport security, even during COVID, which I'm sure was smart during a pandemic. Then God forbid you try to bring more than 3.4 ounces of liquid through the airport, as if you're hiding nitroglycerin in your cologne bottle or something. How stupid. Now compare what I'm saying with COVID. Okay, during COVID, here I'm about to walk through airport security in the middle of this global pandemic. Can't wait to stand around this high traffic security checkpoint area for 30 minutes and then rip my shoes off and walk around barefoot in this dusty ass airport on the floor. Oh, I tug on my mask every 5 seconds as I'm asking the TSA agent, hey, can this iPad go in a separate bin? Does it have to go in a separate bin and stay in my bag? No one ever knows. And what always causes these new rules and regulations that we Americans have to suffer through, whether it be COVID, the COVID rules, the airport rules, combining the COVID and airport rules together almost made me lose my mind. But what causes all these new rules and regulations that we as Americans have to suffer through that just come out of the blue? It's always the same thing. It's an enemy. It's an invisible enemy, an enemy that we can never really identify or even think about it, audience, define. On one hand, we have 9/11, the war on terror. What happens to airports? Which, I mean, think about it logically. How the hell can you have a war on terror? What the hell does that even mean? Like I said, you can't identify our enemies. It's lone wolves here. It's ISIS here. It's ISIS-K over here in Afghanistan now in 2021. It's like they make it up as they go along. Kind of like they did with COVID. Remember COVID was just another thing we couldn't see or easily identify? I mean, it had 100 symptoms. Hell, even nothing at all. Nothing at all was one of the symptoms. At the same time, everyone was scared of COVID, and they had no real direct way to fighting it directly. The vaccine came out. We thought COVID was over, but it wasn't. Just like when we killed Osama bin Laden, and we thought the war on terror was over. It wasn't, because like COVID, terrorism was not a real enemy. COVID, not a real enemy. You want to know what a real enemy is? Japan. Japan was a real enemy. Nazi Germany was a real enemy. That's why the war ended when Berlin fell. So do you see? It's always this invisible enemy they use to control our lives. Terrorism. Again, how the hell can you have where do you go to conquer terrorism? We've been to every country. It still exists somehow. Wonder where that USAID money's going. Maybe we'll see less terrorism now that that's dried up. COVID. Don't even get me the USAID and COVID. And literal invisible enemy made up. You had to be tested to even know you had it. The testing drove the pandemic. And they used it to steal an election. Just like they used 9/11 to control our lives. The Patriot Act. Funny what they call it. The Patriot Act. So in closing, moving forward, what do you think the next invisible enemy is going to be? Because one is coming with Trump. They can't use 9/11. I don't think they're going to be able to use. They can't use COVID again. Audience, I think a cyber attack may be our next invisible enemy. How would you know who started it? How would you know anything? There's no way. But it's good that we point this out now and identify it now. If there's a cyber attack, you may not be able to go back and listen to this episode, but just remember it. It's always the invisible enemy that our government uses to control our lives. So, all right, that's it for today. We're going to be back on Monday, 3 to 4 p.m. Good show. I think it was a great show. We covered a lot. I hope we answered why we're not seeing the Epstein files yet. We're not ready. It's not time yet. I think we proved that this show, and it should serve as a warning. So, Ryan, anything before? Did you not say anything about the Pirates?
Oh, jeez, believe me. I'm not going to say. I don't want to say anything about the Pirates today. I do want to say thank you, Joe, for all the information. I see, just like everybody else that listens to your show, we see all this stuff going on day in, day out, and it's nice to hear a logical explanation to a lot of it. So thank you, as always, Joe. And I do want to say I hope that everybody that listens to the show and beyond is all right. There's a lot of terrible weather situations going on around this country right now, and if anybody has any loved ones or anybody, I hope that everybody stays safe and we could get through this, because between New Mexico and Texas and North Carolina.
Is that another invisible enemy with HAARP?
You just don't know, Joe. You just don't know.
Global warming, another invisible enemy controlled by the government. Wow, this is a jam-packed show, awesome show. Feel like it's one of our best. So thank you very much. We'll be back again. Thinking Logically, we'll be back on Monday, 3 to 4 p.m. Until then, Joe Corsi signing off from Beaver County Radio at 99.3 FM WBVP.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by